I'm keeping the side light on the little over here instead of the main lights to, to keep it in the mood for my wife. Like you know how you have a cat or something and they, you know, and then like this big furball mess. My wife just faced me moments ago. Why she couldn't have just got up, moved over there, went to the bathroom, I'm not sure. But she just faced me like she was giving me a present in a cup of pure throw-up sweet potatoes. Now looking at it, like it kind of looks like a pumpkin spice milkshake, but I can assure you, it was not. So I just had to set the mood right for E-Snip 4, if you will, Evelyn Snip 4. So, Sovereign Man, Simon Black. Gentlemen, the national debt is paid. That sentence has been uttered in Washington, D.C. exactly one time, ever, by a senator announcing that the U.S. government was officially debt-free. That was January 8th, 1835, when the debt that the United States government had accrued since its birth was finally paid off. Never again would the United States be debt-free. It took 174 years for the debt to rack up to a mind-boggling $11 trillion in 2009. It then took only 10 years to add an additional $11 trillion. Can you just stop and think about that for 1 second? Hey, everything's fine. It's fine. Nothing wrong here. Gold, silver, we don't need that. Cryptocurrencies, we don't need that. Just keep working at your job and tuck that dollars you get extra, because I know you got a bunch of dollars extra. Everybody's getting paid so well these days, and not necessarily the pay, but the cost of living is so low. You especially in California, gosh, you could probably buy a house for $50K. California, you know what I mean? Like, gosh. Anyways, 174 years. 174 years. And by the way, I think our first trillion was around 1980, I believe. Which means 30 years later, 80, 90, 2000, 2010, is roughly when we had that first 11 trillion. Actually says 2009. So in 30 years, we put $11 trillion on from 1 trillion. 174 years it took to get to that point as far as the total of 11 trillion, anyways, from 2009. Anyways, 10 years, and I've done videos on this a bunch. I'd always tell you that, the exact example, guys, it took us this long to get to this amount of debt, this long, 30 years, Bush took over, Clinton took over, then Bush Jr. took over, and then, Obama, I'd always lay it out. So, just as a between me and you kind of a thing, how does the price of gold in 2011, right, go to nearly $2,000, $1,900 an ounce? Silver goes to 50 again. This is when we had 11 trillion in debt, correct? 11, 12-ish. Now we have over 22, and silver and gold are nowhere near those prices. They're way lower, right? Because it's effing rigged. That's why. That's typically the thermometer. Hey, is there a problem with our debt and our dollar? Let's look at the price of gold today. Oh, yeah, we got some issues, right? Nope. They ran it up, let everyone think it was going to rocket. Nope, slam it back down. Don't ever play that game again. Having said that, let's continue. It only took 10 years to balloon another 11 trillion, 22 trillion. It says today the national debt is larger than the entire economy of the USA, $22 trillion. It took 147 years to get $1 trillion into debt. Well, he's 147, not 174. So he's talking about the earlier example I gave. The USA now routinely adds at least $1 trillion in debt every year. And why exactly are we adding all this debt? These are the good times. The economy has been growing for a decade, right? 2008-9 crash, we've had this nice big balloon bubble. Housing prices skyrocketed again, all-time highs. The economy has been growing for a decade. The stock market is pumping up to all-time highs. Almost every asset class is practically bursting with wealth. We've even seen record tax returns. And still, routine spending is $1 trillion more than the government collects. Any semblance of financial restraint is not even an afterthought on politicians or their constituents' mind. This is really insane. Back in 2009, people were actually talking about how troubling the debt was when it was half of what it is now. A 2009 Forbes article is almost adorable as it predicts the U.S. debt will be $14 trillion by 2019. Well, it's only about 50% off. We wish we were at $14 trillion right now. And still, the author was extremely concerned, as he should have been, as we all should be, and even more so now. Back then, 7.7% of the revenue the federal government collected went towards servicing the debt, about $162 billion. This year, about 15.4% of the $3.4 trillion tax revenue was spent entirely on interest payments for America's massive debts. That's $523 billion of productivity taxed away because the politicians don't care to balance the budget and pay down the debt. Again, I have to ask, how does one pay down debt when every dollar we borrow has interest attached to it immediately from the Federal Reserve because we have bonds, treasury bonds, that are created in exchange for that money? We go sell the bonds, and this is a 2% bond, this is a 1% bond, that's a whatever percent bond, 5-year, 10-year, 1-year, whatever it is. We're paying interest on it. Where does the interest come from? Well, we got to borrow more money. So, in other words, how in the hell could we ever get out of this at this point in time with the central banking cartel? But maybe that's a discussion for another time. That, he says, is just the interest. Think about that. $500 billion? Yep. That is just the interest. It's like if you or I just paid the minimum balance on our credit card every month while pretending 33% more than, while spending 33% more than we earn each year. Eventually, your card would be declined, right? Yeah, you can't pay it. We're not going to let you continue using our money, credit card company. You're way behind. You've just compiled debt upon debt. We see you've taken out multiple lines of credit, and that's it. Like, dude, you're cut off. Now we're going to send you letters. You need to owe. Well, here's a settlement letter. Give us 50%. We'll take 50%. Oh, he's filing bankruptcy. Damn it. Never mind. We lose. But that's the United States government we're talking about. Backed by the full faith and credit of the American government. Sounds good, doesn't it? No, you know what sounds good to me? Some precious metals and some cryptocurrency. That sounds a little better to me. Eventually, your card would be declined. But the U.S. government has the power to raise the limit on its own credit card. It's called the debt ceiling, which it routinely does. And, can I find it real quick? Twitter. I just saw President Trump. Hey, great news. We just made a deal with Mitch McConnell and at Real Donald Trump. I'm just going to, I guess, see if I can find this real quick because he just tweeted this a little while ago. Okay, 2 hours ago. I am pleased to announce that a deal has been struck with Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi, and House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy on a 2-year budget and debt ceiling with no poison pills, he says. Now, you would probably say, well, Joe, that's your guy, Trump, right? I mean, that's your guy. What is he doing? The same thing you or I would be doing if we were in that position, stuck with the central bank, Federal Reserve, in the system. And what did Q say? Hey, someone asked him, hey, do we have the gold? Q, yes. Oh, and not only yes, gold will destroy the Fed. So like I've been saying, and I don't know for sure, I'll guess, but I feel pretty strong saying this, like comfortable. Donald Trump is going to ride that paper money system, that debt crap system, until that horse dies. And then we'll implement, more than likely, some type of gold standard to finish off the Fed. Because the Fed's going to take the blame in all of this. So again, you got a free printing press. You got guys who've been in place manipulating the market this whole damn time. Not that he put them in place, that's just the way it is. Ride that horse till it dies. Oh, and while you're at it, when that horse does die, see if there's a way we can somehow get ourselves out of debt, not just the country. That'll be a tough one for him. I don't know what the hell he could do about that. But anyways, they may be able to ignore economic realities for much longer than we can, but rest assured, the same principles apply. Remember, these are the good times. Interest rates are low, and everyone still considers the U.S. government good for its debts. But suppose a recession takes a chunk out of tax revenue, or suppose the U.S. gets embroiled in even more larger, costlier wars. Far-fetched, right? Or is it? There's no telling what kind of turmoil this unsustainable debt could cause, even without a major event. From Rome to the Weimar Republic, massive debts have wreaked havoc on the value of money and society in general. That's not to say that the same would necessarily happen in the USA, but what is certain is that countries with healthy finances fare better. It is the universal law of prosperity. Taking more money, scroll down too far, than you spend. Taking more money than you spend. And when that hasn't even been an afterthought for politicians in decades, it is time to prepare for the havoc that could be wreaked upon society, I guess you could say. Rational people don't ignore these things. That's why I've been doing these videos for going 10 years now. I've been doing this 10 years talking about this stuff. Well, everything's fine, Joe. I don't see any riots in the streets. I don't see people in bread lines. I don't, Joe, you've been out 10 years, dude. I mean, just go. Well, all I can say, Rome didn't fall in 10 years. But speaking of Rome, the Roman Empire, you may want to look at the reasons why it fell and then say, comparison to the United States. You could even Google that, actually. I've done it. And you will see a shocking, even though technologically different, we're way advanced society, shockingly similar reasons for the demise of the Roman Empire. What you got there? That's it. So again, rational people do not ignore these things. There are so many steps that you can take to insulate yourself from the consequences of this runaway debt. One is to move some of your savings into precious metals like gold and silver. Chances are that what's been true for the last few thousand years will continue to be true. They hold their value. It also makes sense to spread some of your risk outside the USA. That can mean getting a second passport so that one country doesn't get to dictate where you can live, work, and travel. Foreign property gives you somewhere to go in the worst case scenario. Foreign bank accounts mean you have some money outside the reach of certain governments and American lawyers. And the best thing about taking all these steps to survive and thrive through the likely turmoil the debt will cause is that you aren't any worse off, even if nothing happens. There is absolutely no downside to protecting yourself and your family with these and many other Plan B strategies. And that's from Mr. Simon Black at sovereignman.com. It's through an email, that I get. Again, nothing to lose, everything to gain if something like this happens. Now, I'm not saying that I feel comfortable. I'm going to go open a bank account in some other country. I have a problem that when you're in that other country, gringo, you, me, oh yeah, well, he's a nice guy, girl, family, we love them, our kids play, everything's good. Yeah, the guy's got a lot of money compared to us around here, but hey, so what? Good for him. Maybe he'll stimulate the economy around here. Yeah, maybe we will. What? And then things turn south in that country. The US dollar, because of the dollar, they're attached to the dollar. It's more devastating to them than actually you back at home. What the heck? Okay. And next thing you know, there's turmoil, and all those people, same culture. You know the old saying from, we got to stick together, right? Al, oh, come on, us New Yorkers, we got to stick together, right? Come on, guys, I just want to be with winners. That's what they're going to say. Us cultural, similar people got to stick together, right? We know Gringo's been here for 3 years, but, we've been here for generations, and we got to stick together. So it was nice knowing you while you were here, and things were good. But now that they're not good, it's not like they're going to have this conversation with you. You're going to hear windows breaking in the night. You're going to go down the street, come back home, your house has been robbed. Like, it's going to start like that. Maybe there's somewhere on the planet outside the United States, for us Americans, to where that would not happen. And I can't say, I don't know every single square inch of the planet, what's going to happen and what's not. But you can see cultures like to stick together. Just look at what happened in South Africa. All the whites, some of them been killed, taking their land back out of nowhere. Oh, what happened? South African people have to stick together, right? And we're kicking you out. That's what happened overnight. And the amount of money and prosperity that those, actually, believe it or not, those whites brought into the area goes out the window. It doesn't matter. Because the local culture did not care. We want our land back. We don't care about what you guys get going on here. We are not second class or third class citizens. And as far as they think, you guys are time for you to go. Oh, and our government says it's okay, so yeah, you better get going. That's why I say, where are you going to go? Where are you going to go? And remember what Gerald Celente said a long time ago after MF Global. He was so pissed off. He was so furious. His money was stolen by MF Global, John Corzine, before he was giving it back. He said, I went out of the country. I had enough. I'm getting the hell out of here. He says, I went to this place. I went to that place. I went over here. I went over there. I went over. And then I came right back to where I was. He goes, you want to know what I found out? There's corruption everywhere. There's politicians everywhere. And there's other places that have more corruption and are worse than our own government here. So after looking at all these places I might be able to go to, I realized they're not any better. Some of them are worse. And this is my country. What am I running from? I'm going to stay here and I'm going to fight and I'm going to stay. And that's what he said. This was a few years ago. So you can't blame the guy. But anyways, that doesn't hurt to have a few little options up your sleeve. I mean, it certainly wouldn't be bad to have a passport one way or the other. But anyways, how about that debt being debt-free as a country one time in your history? Rothschild, give me control of a nation's money, and I care not who makes its laws. They got control of our money. They got their Federal Reserve in. And as you can see, they don't care who our politicians are. They're all bought and paid for because they control the money. And they'll never have these Democrats, for sure, and a lot of Republicans even, vote against or vote to get rid of the Federal Reserve. Nope. We're taking our sovereignty back. We're taking our money printing back. We're going to back it by gold. Nope. They're not going to vote for that because that apparatus helps them get funding personally so they can run again and get bailed out, $170-something thousand a year salary. Nope, that ain't good enough. Nope. I want payoffs by big corporations so I can change laws strictly for you guys, you corporations. I'll walk out of here, if I can stay just a few years, a multi-millionaire off that base $170,000 salary. Can you see why Donald Trump is trying desperately and succeeding to an extent of draining that corrupt Washington, D.C. swamp? And I think the best is yet to come. Take care.